this is Rosa Kelly. So today we're going to start a new tutorial. This is going to be a design team project for JS Hobbies and Crafts. So I did a separate video showing you the entire collection that we're going to be using. So I'm going to link that video on the description box down below, as well as all the supplies that we are going to need. And let's get right into that tutorial. So I am absolutely in love with this page here, and I know I want this to be on my cover. So this size is very large, so I don't want to cut it or trim it on any way. So I decided I'm going to work on a large folio album, and I want the folio to be about the same size as this piece here. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna put the collection aside for now. So we're gonna cut the chipboard at 9.5 by 11 inches. So I'm gonna do one side and then turn it over and do it again at 9.5. And now we are going to trim this at 11 inches. And again, I'm going to cut it on both sides, just like that. And we are going to need 2 pieces of this. And then I'm going to need another piece. This one is going to measure 11 inches by 1.25. So I'm going to do 11 and then 1.25. So these two are going to be our spine pieces. These are 11 by 1.25. And then I'm also going to use the other one that we have left over to add the closure for this folio. So this piece measures 2.5 by 11. So we're gonna put one of the large ones first, and then we're gonna do one of the spine pieces right next to it, and then the other large piece, the other spine piece, and then this closure piece at the end. And I know it's gonna be a little bit hard to show you, so I'm just gonna tell you right now that you are gonna need an 1/8 of an inch distance in between each one of these pieces here. So I am going to put 3 pieces of the cardstock together, and then I'm going to just glue this down the way that I show you. Okay, so here I have all my pieces added into my cardstock, and it's really hard to show, and I know it's also really hard to see the black chipboard on the black cardstock. But so basically we have the large size, one of the spines, the other large size spine, and then this little piece, which is going to be our closure. So now what I'm going to do is just continue to wrap this like we typically do all of our mini albums. I'm going to cut the corner here so we don't have too much bulk when we're wrapping this around, and cut this piece as well. So I'm going to do the 4 corners, and then I'm going to add my double-sided tape on this 1/2 inch piece that we have going on the bottom. So I'm just gonna start from here all the way down to here, and I'm going to do the same on the top and on the sides. So now I have all my tape around, and before I take my tape apart, I'm going to go ahead and just gently fold the sides just like that. So we massage the cardstock a little bit before we glue these pieces down. And once we have the cardstock where we want it, whoops, sorry, then we're just gonna press this down like that. I'm just gonna go all the way around here. Just like that. See, that way when we do it slowly enough, you're not gonna crack your cardstock or anything like that. And I'm just going to now take out the tape on this side. I'm just gonna take the whole thing. Oops, let's try this again. Take this out. All right, and now since we bent this ahead of time, we know exactly where this is going to land. So I'm just gonna try to fit everything in camera here, and there you go. So now we're gonna do the top side just on the same way, and then we're also going to fold the sides in. Now on the sides, since I had a little bit more room, I did two stripes of the tape. That way we have a little bit more of a grid on the top. So I'm just gonna continue wrapping this around, and then I'll be right back. Now that I'm done wrapping all the chipboard with the cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and just gently mark on the areas where we're going to bend. You just want to mark on your cardstock so it's easier to bend like that. So I'm going to do that, and then here's the other one, and then I'm going to do the same on this other side. I'm just gonna mark right there. Okay, so same thing here. We're gonna fold this side in, and now this is how the folio it's going to close, just like that. Now we have the base, and so this part here I had the join piece right on this side, so I don't quite like how this is coming up, but when we put the design paper on top here, it's going to secure this little, I don't know if you can see the little joint piece in there. So that's okay for now. I'm going to use some magnets, and I'm going to add them on this flap. That's going to be our closure. So I think I'm going to do 3 rows of magnets just so we can have this be really nice and secure. So I'm just gonna do one in the middle here, and let's do one here and one there. So let me just peel this sticky side off, and these are the basic gray large magnets. Also, those are going to be linked on the description box below, and so you get 12 on a pack. So we're going to be using 6 here for the cover. So I think we should have plenty for the inside as well. All right, so we're gonna do those 3 there, and then I'm going to grab the other sides, which are the pluses. Whoops. And I love that these come with a sticker already, and it's just so easy because it also comes with like the minus and the pluses. So I'm just going to peel off all of these tapes just like that, and now I'm going to wrap this around. I'm going to stand this up and make sure the spines are perpendicular just like this, and then I'm going to close this, hold it on the top, hold it on the bottom, and then just press down on the magnets so they can stick, and then we're gonna open that up, and there you go. So now we have the location of the magnets, and this is how the folio is going to look. So now I'm going to cut into this design page, and I'm just basically going to start embellishing the front. I'm going to just trim this right along the edge of this lighter color, just like that. And I'm also going to take out the top, and I'm going to cut this at 9 1/4, which is going to be right here at the end. You know, just take out this piece there. So that's how that's going to look. And so now I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to make sure the width is good enough, which it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuzzy cut around this area here, because I do want to give this piece a little bit of volume as well. So I'm going to first here, so let me just trim off this piece just like that. Okay, so this piece is fine, and then I'm going to go around like this. So I'm basically just going to follow the line of this guy here, continue, and don't worry about being too perfect, because then we're going to ink this around and you won't see, you know, the difference of, like, if you get a little bit of white in there, you won't see that. All right, so I'm just gonna continue going all the way around. Okay, so now I have this piece that I took out, and then we also have this other one, and I know it looks kind of funny right now, but we're just gonna glue this one down. So I'm going to ink around the sides, like I said, and for that I'm using my Distress ink. This is the Vintage Photo. So I'm just gonna go all over the edge. Since this paper is very vintage, I don't want to see any of the white around the sides. So, and then also you can add a little bit more of that color into the page itself, just like that. Okay, so now this piece we're going to glue straight onto the cover. So let's do that, and make sure you get all these little pieces so your paper's not coming out. And then just a lot of glue all over the place. Okay, so now let's just place this down right here, like so. And I'm just gonna lay this flat for now. Okay, there you go. And now we have this a second piece, and now this one is going to go right on top here, and I do want to give it some volume. So the first thing we're gonna do is just ink this around. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get all these white little spots, since we didn't cut these perfect, and that's really gonna help it make it look a lot better. So, and then I'm going to do the bottom just like that, and we're gonna place this one right on top, maybe a little bit lower, just like that. Now I do get this little black piece in there that I don't quite like how that's looking, so I'm just gonna grab this piece from the scraps and just put it down there, just so you don't see the cardstock. I want to see something different, so I'm just gonna tuck it in there just like that, and then let's see if you can still see it. So now you see like a little bit of design, so it's good. And I'm just gonna ink this a little bit more as well on this side, and I am gonna glue this down just like back in there, like so. Now for this piece, since I want to give this a little bit of volume, I'm going to use some of my tape here. I'm thinking if I might want to trim this. Okay, so maybe I do want to just cut, because I don't want to have volume on that side. I only want volume for this piece. So let's see. So maybe I'm going to take this whole thing out just like that. Okay, because I don't want volume, too much volume. So I'm going to glue this down first. There you go. We're going to just add this little piece, and now we are going to add this other piece, and like I said, we are going to use some tape, foam tape, to add volume. So I have all my foam tape, and if you don't have foam tape, you can definitely use your scrap pieces of chipboard as well. That I usually do that too. So I'm just gonna line this up on the bottom of the on the top of this little piece here, and just place it like that. So we kind of keep the same design as the paper collection because it is already really beautiful, but we are just altering it a little bit so we can give it a little bit more volume and it's not so flat. So I really like how that looks. I know it's kind of hard to see in camera, but I think just taking this extra step just makes a big difference in terms of the design of the cover. So now for this piece, what I want to do is also continue with the look of the page here. Now I don't want to add it flat like that. I'm gonna cut each one of these around and we're just gonna put it on a fun dynamic way. Okay, so I have those little cards that I cut out, and then also I'm going to use this design from the collection, of course, and I'm going to cut these at 2 1/4 by 10 3/4. And I love this green because I think it complements this page really good, because we do have some green in here, and then also it makes these little cards stand out. So I'm going to ink this around again. So I'm just gonna make it look a little bit more old and vintage. Okay, now I'm going to glue this down here. So I'm just gonna add quite a lot of glue in this piece, and make sure you get the corners really good. And we are just going to add that here. And again, we're gonna use this as a like layer here to not just cover that little joint, but also make it really secure. So that's why you want to put a lot of glue, especially on the edges and the corners. And then I'm just gonna press this down. And so I want to add these pieces kind of in like a super fun way like that. But before I add them, I want to give it a little volume. So I'm going to use some of the scrap pieces of chipboard that I have. So I'm just gonna cut some pieces. Oops. Let me use this big one here, and I'm gonna glue these on the back so they are, you know, not just half dimension but also have a little bit more stability as well. Let's make sure they fit. Okay, so I'm just gonna add some glue and place this on the back. Now I'm going to start adding these pieces. So I'm just gonna glue the chipboard there, and maybe I can put this one here and then that one there. Let's see here, just kind of make it look fun and, you know, just different. And I'm gonna add my glue. So much fun, right? You know, this is kind of like, I love this collection, but it's definitely out of my comfort zone because I just don't do a lot of manly things. But I wish they come out with more, you know, manly type of collections like this, because it is just so fun and so different. I just love it. All right, so I think we have our cover pretty much ready. I might add something here, like a little sentiment. I'll see what we have on the collection, but I actually think it looks pretty good just like this anyway. And so now I'm going to cut just some pieces here. I want to use the same green that we are using on this side to cover the back. So I'm just gonna cut this piece. Now this is going to be cut at 10 3/4 by 9 1/4. So maybe just a little bit smaller here. And again, I'm going to ink this piece around. And now I'm just going to glue this on the back. And I know we have a lot of different pieces on the background here, but luckily we get 2 sheets of everything because I, of course, love this pattern. Like this green one really calls me. I love this, the tones on this page. It's so pretty. Okay, so let's just add that here. Now I'm not going to do the sides just yet because I want to just use my scraps for that part. So I'm just gonna wait and see what I have left later on. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the inside of this folio. So the first thing that I'm going to do is secure my spine and this whole piece on the other side. So I'm gonna put this on the side for now, and we are going to use a new sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to trim this at 10 3/4. Okay, and then we're going to need a piece that measures about 4 inches, and then we're gonna do another one that measures 6 inches, and I think it's time for me to replace my blade. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside now, and we're gonna grab the folio back, and we're going to place this one piece. We're gonna glue this whole thing on this side here, and then we're going to glue the smaller one just right here like so. Okay, so now I'm gonna glue this one down here, and let me just lay this really flat now. Okay, and then we're going to glue this other one right on this side here. Okay, so here we go, and then we're gonna wait for these pieces to dry before we bend the book back. And so let me make sure that we are pressing this down really good. And then we're going to use a ruler, and we're going to score again on the bending point. So basically I'm lining up my ruler with the top and the bottom. You will feel these little bending gaps in there, and then we're gonna go ahead and gently score. I'm going to use the ruler to help me bend this point like that, and same thing here. And now we're gonna do exactly the same on the other side. Make sure that you can still close it and it bends really good. You might have to massage this a little bit, and there we go. So now I cut a small piece here, and this measures 10 3/4 by 2 1/4, and it's going to go on the inside panel. So I'm going to just glue it in here. So for the other two sides, I'm just going to work on this separately, and then we're going to add them into the main folio. That way it'll be a lot easier to do. So let's start with the first one. So we're going to cut a paper, and this is going to be the base that we're going to build on top. So I'm actually going to do 2 because we're going to need 2 of the same size for the 2 sides. And this is going to be 9 1/4 by 10 3/4. Okay, so you're gonna need 2, and we're going to start with the first one. So now for the first one, I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock. This one is going to be cut at 9 1/4 by 10 1/2. And we're going to score this along the 10 1/2 inch side. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. Okay, so now we're going to fold along the score lines, and we're going to add our double-sided tape on the outer 1/2 inch line here. So let me grab my tape. Okay, so we're just gonna place this right here like so, and I'm going to cut right there. All right, and then I'm going to place this on the top side of my base page. Okay, so let me put this down here, and I'm going to just peel off a little bit of the tape, and we're gonna line this up at the top. So I'm going to just put this little piece to the top so it's easy to pull, and we're gonna line up the corners here just like that, and then we're gonna press down on the sticky side here, and we're gonna pull this tape out just like that. There you go. And now we have the first piece. So this other 1/2 inch is basically going to be a little gusset so we can build into this page once we open this up. Now I'm going to cut a second piece, and we're going to do basically the same thing but on the bottom. Now this one I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller so it's different. So we're going to do 9.5 by 9.5. Okay, so it's easy to remember. And then we're going to score these again, same thing. We're going to do 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then we're gonna fold along the score lines just like we did the first one. And the same thing here. We're gonna grab a little bit of tape, and then we're just gonna take the tape off. And now we have the first piece, which is basically one long flip to the top, one to the bottom. So now to build the inside, I'm going to grab 2 more pieces of this 12 by 12 cardstock, and I'm going to trim these ones at 10.25, so just like that. And these ones I'm basically going to just fold in half, or we can also score at 6 inches. So I'm going to just use my scoreboard here for this part, and basically we're just gonna create this large accordion fold. I always, when I do my folios, I love to include a lot of room for pictures. Even though the folios tend to be more on the flat side, you'll still get a lot of options to display different size pictures. So now to join these 2 pieces together, I am going to grab some of my scrap pieces here. So always take advantage of all your scrap pieces. So I'm going to grab this piece, and this measures about 2 inches. So we're going to trim this at 10.5 also, and then I'm going to cut these at 1 inch. So we're gonna need 2 pieces here, and we're going to score these right at 1/2 inch. So I'm just gonna place this down here and score. And same thing for the other one. And these are going to be our connector pieces to join those 2 pieces that we cut and make one long accordion fold. So let me fold this in half, just like so. And then you can either do double-sided tape, or you can do glue. I'm just going to do glue because to me it's a lot easier, and then you have a little bit of room to move and adjust. Okay, so just some glue in here, and I'm going to put one right along the edge on the first one, on the first booklet. And oops, I think I cut this a little bit too big. I might have not measured this right, so I'm just gonna trim this, and that's okay. And then I'm going to add glue on the other side here. Okay, just like this, and place the second piece right on top. Now make sure that you are adding the edge and not the bending point. Okay, so now I'm just gonna line this up with the first one, and they should all lined up together. And now we have this one long piece, which is our accordion fold. Now I'm going to place this onto the base, and I think I'm going to do these. Let's see, you can pick either side to do it. I think I'm gonna make it so it can open up to the left. So I'm going to add the second connector piece, and we're gonna do the same. We're gonna add glue, and let's see here. So I want the edge to be on this page here. So I'm going to add the connector piece to the edge of this big piece. And I know it's kind of hard to see the black on the black, but we're just gonna try to do our best here. And just line it up. Here we go. Okay, and again, my piece is too big. I think I might have cut it at 10 and 3/4 or something. Okay, but that's okay. Now I'm going to add my glue on the other side of the connector piece, just like that, and place this whole thing on the left side. and hopefully you can see it. So now this piece is going to be smaller, so I'm just gonna center it up and down between the two score lines, just like that. Okay, so now we have this accordion fold. You can use it as an accordion, or you can simply just operate it like this, and then it will open up to the other side like so. All right, so now let's add another piece on the opposite side. Now for that one, I'm going to also start with a new piece of cardstock, and I'm gonna cut this piece just a little bit smaller. So this one is going to be at 8 inches by, let's do 8 inches as well, or 8.5. Okay, so 8 by 8.5, and we're going to do 1/2 inch on the 8.5 inch side. So I'm just gonna score 1/2 inch here, and we're gonna fold along the score line and add the tape. So for this one, I'm gonna just use my tape on this little 1/2 inch piece, just like that. Okay, and now I'm gonna bring this back, open this whole thing up, and we're gonna place that one on this opposite side. Now I'm going to make sure that it is centered up and down. Now we have this piece that we added, and it's also gonna function as a closure for this accordion fold. And then I'm going to use this little piece of my scraps, just because I don't like my scrap pieces just going to waste. I think it will be a good idea to add a pocket using this little piece. So I'm gonna trim this at 9 inches, and I'll tell you what this measures. This is 4 inches. So this piece is 4 by 9, and let me score now 1/2 inch on 3 sides to create a pocket. So I'm gonna place this on my scoreboard, and we're going to do 1/2 inch, and then turn this over 1/2 inch, and turn it again and 1/2 inch. Okay, and then to make the pocket, I am just going to trim the corners. So I'm going to cut 2 little sections off like that, and then we're going to fold along the score lines, and I'm going to just use my glue to add this pocket down. Okay, so I'm just gonna fold this really good on all these sides like that, and then I'm gonna bring this over again, and we're gonna place the pocket on top of this flap right here like this. So again, I'm going to just use my glue. So I'm going to place this down, and now we have the pocket, the flap, the accordion folds, this flap, and this other flap as well. Now on this flap, I'm going to add the magnets that are going to keep this whole section closed. So let's go ahead and take off the tape, place it right on the center, and then we're going to place the other one on top. Take off this tape, and now we're going to close this whole thing down. So before you close it, let's stand this up and make sure that your gussets are perpendicular to the base of the page like so. And now we're going to join these two. Okay, hold it right there, and now we can press down where the magnet needs to go. Okay, so there we go. We have the magnet on the both sides, and I think for the button here, we can actually do something a little bit fun as well. So let me just grab one more piece of cardstock, and I'm going to trim this at, let's see, so we are going to trim this at 9 inches, and then we're gonna do 6 inches. So we are going to have 2 big pieces like so, and then I'm going to score 1/2 inch so we can add these 2 pieces like this. Okay, so let me bring my scoreboard out again, and let's do 1/2 inch along the 9-inch side. We're going to do 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch here as well, and then we're going to fold along the score lines and add the tape just like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same on this one. Here we go. Okay, and now I'm ready to add these 2 pieces back into my folio base. So I'm going to open up the bottom piece, and these 2 pieces are going to just simply be added, one on each side. So I'm going to take out the tape in here, center it up and down, and there you go. Take this down, and then same thing on the other side. I'm gonna take off some of this tape, line this up, and remove the tape. Okay, so now we have this flap, more opportunities for pictures here as well. And then the top piece, I'm going to keep playing so we have room for a large picture, and also we don't want to make this bulky because this is where our magnets connect. So now we're gonna add the paper into the first part of our folio, but I think I am at a good stopping point for today, so please join me next time and we're gonna continue working on this together. Don't forget to visit the store, JS Hobbies and Crafts. I will have the link down below as well of all the supplies that I am using to make this project. I want to thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.